The sky choked on acrid smoke, a bitter haze of charred oak and treachery. My family's century-old horse barn roared into oblivion, flames devouring history as Margaret Voss stood at my fence line, phone pressed to her ear, feigning a 911 call. "What a tragedy!" she gasped, but her lips curled with a venomous smirk, as if the inferno were her private victory. Neighbours gawked, my horses screamed, and Margaret adjusted her grip like she was toasting at a gala. Ever seen someone savour a fire that wasn't theirs? My HOA didn't just cross a line. They doused it in kerosene and lit the match. I'm Cole Harland, retired at 35, after 14 years as a demolition expert, trading dynamite for the quiet of my great-grandfather's Montana ranch. A workplace injury settlement funded my escape to Pine Hollow's 3 acres, marked by a hand-carved sign, "Not for sale, not interested." It wasn't just a notice, it was a blood oath. My grandmother's dying words echoed, "This land is our roots. Keep it ours." I carved that sign the night she passed. The barn, built in 1921 from oaks older than Montana, held my great-grandfather's spirit. His calloused hands had guided mine, teaching me horses were kin, not livestock. "Treat them right," he'd rasp, "and they'll outloyal any man." Feeding Shadow, my black stallion, I felt him in the rafters, whispering that some things outshine wealth. My ranch bordered Pine View Estates, a sterile sprawl of $15 million mansions with cookie-cutter lawns. Their pools cost more than most homes, but the place reeked of control, not community. My sign was my shield against their HOA's grip. On a crisp spring day, trouble arrived in a sleek Audi. Margaret Voss stepped out, cream suit pristine, stilettos sinking into dirt, her smile as sharp as a real estate ad. She eyed my barn, fences, and sign like they were blight. "Good afternoon," she purred, voice dripping with false honey. "I'm Margaret Voss, Pine View HOA president. Let's discuss your property's role in our community." I kept brushing Shadow. "Can you read?" I nodded at my sign. Her laugh was a practiced chime. "Mr. Harland, I'm not buying. We're expanding our HOA standards to include your land, for everyone's benefit." I met her gaze. "Margaret, I'm not joining your club or changing my ranch. It's Harland ground, always will be." Her smile stiffened, eyes glinting like ice. "Cooperation beats the alternative, Mr. Harland." That word, alternative, was a velvet-wrapped blade. Her Audi purred away, leaving menace in its wake. That night, I fired up my ancient mower, its raw, spitting grass like shrapnel across Pine View's pristine fence, a quiet rebellion. By morning, 2 horses were gone, my barn lock severed by bolt cutters. A pink HOA notice pinned to the door screamed, "Final warning, aesthetic violations." Margaret had escalated to sabotage. Weeks brought a siege. Health inspectors, animal control, zoning officers, all citing baseless violations. Margaret blasted club music against my fence during my horse's rest, sending Shadow into a frenzy. I countered with industrial speakers blaring roosters and whinnying at 5 a.m. "Horses love mornings," I told the cop who came after complaints. Then a surveyor claimed 15 inches of my land, followed by a lawyer's demand to dismantle 80 feet of fence for $12,000. My deed was ironclad, the fence untouched for decades. But Margaret wielded legal threats like a crowbar, prying at my legacy. Ed Riley, a retired surveyor and my lone ally, sipped coffee and warned, "She's run 5 families out in 2 years. Makes life hell until they sell." That night, I pored over security footage in my workshop, tools glinting under the red glow. Margaret's daily patrols past my ranch were obsessive, a general plotting a siege. I mapped her conquests, 6 properties, all pool adjacent, now hers. My ranch was the last holdout, her final prize. Then came slander, a flyer with my face under community safety alert, branding me an unhinged ex-demolitionist hoarding explosives. The feed store clerk iced me out. The barber avoided my gaze. Margaret had twisted my past into a terrorist caricature. I dug into hers. Widowed after a messy divorce, she'd inherited millions, bought 10 of Pineview's 15 lots, and turned her HOA into a fiefdom. Every ousted family had marred her perfect pool view. I shadowed her subtly. Bank visits, cafe stops, always visible, never close enough to accuse. Her confidence cracked, eyes darting to mirrors. She thrived on control. I was her blind spot. Ed brought deeds and grim news. She's sniffing about your tools, chemicals. She's scheming. Then Shadow's screams tore through the night. Not his usual whinny, but raw terror. Shotgun in hand, I found chaos. Someone had cut the fence, loosed a cougar among my horses. Shadow reared as my mares cowered. The beast had killed Luna, my gentle mare. 2 shots dropped the cougar, but Luna was gone. Shadow gashed. The mares traumatized. Cougars hadn't roamed here in years. Someone trucked it in. A deliberate act. 2 days later, Margaret stood at my gate, smile venomous. $500,000 cash for your ranch. Close in 10 days. I'll cover moving. She stood under my sign, brazen. Either you're blind or you think it's art, I said. Her mask slipped. You've chosen defiance, Mr. Highland. I've been patient, but you're out of chances. Her voice was steel. I choose freedom, I shot back. You don't scare me. The next day, smoke was real. My great-grandfather's barn burned, flames swallowing oak, heat searing my face. Shadow and the mare's screams haunted me as the structure collapsed. The fire crew arrived too late. Nothing survived. Margaret stood at the fence, fake tears in her voice, but her eyes gleamed with victory. I buried my horses, blisters burning as I dug. Shadow's singed halter hung on a barnwood cross. Grief clawed me, but rage burned hotter. Margaret's glowing mansion mocked me, her $400,000 pool a smug shrine. You like fire, I muttered. I'll show you concrete. I played defeated, head low, voice soft, letting Pineview think Margaret won. In my workshop, I planned the demolition job of my life. Her pool was a code violation, shoddy permits, bad wiring, drainage issues. Ed confirmed, it's a nightmare. Concrete, my old trade, could build or destroy. 10 trucks could bury that pool, and once set, it'd take dynamite to undo. Dynamite I'd avoid to stay legal. I called Nate Carter, a concrete supplier who owed me. 10 trucks Saturday, no questions. He paused. That's serious volume, Cole. What's the job? Environmental cleanup, I dodged. He agreed. I forged an emergency remediation order. Fake permits authorizing pool neutralization. Friday, Ed noticed my clipboard labeled Concrete Vengeance. What's that? He asked. Stay clear of Margaret's tomorrow, I warned. At dawn, her Audi gone for a spa ritual. 10 concrete trucks rumbled into Pineview. In a hard hat and vest, clipboard raised, I looked official. Neighbours gawked as the lead driver hesitated. This the right spot? Looks clean. I flashed my papers. Contaminated water source. We're sealing it. The first chute opened, grey sludge swallowing the pool's turquoise. By truck 3, it was a grey swamp, tiles cracking. Margaret screeched in, yoga gear no match for her fury. What are you doing? She wailed, snatching my papers. This is fake. I stayed calm. Environmental order, ma'am. Federal offence to interfere. By truck 8, her pool was a concrete tomb, patio fracturing, sludge spilling. This cost $400,000, she cried. I checked my clipboard. Contamination neutralized, area safe. The final trucks poured, leaving a flat grey slab. Enjoy your new patio, Ms. Voss, I said, tipping my hat. Her threat, I'll burn your ranch to nothing, was overheard by filming neighbours. It was her undoing. Phone records tied her to an arsonist hired before the barn fire. Bank transactions linked her to pest attacks on other holdouts. Worst, she'd bought a cougar from a shady Idaho dealer days before Luna's death. Arson, fraud, and animal cruelty charges buried her. Her mansion sold fast. A Texas family turned the concrete pool into a skate park. Kids laughing where her ego once shone. I rebuilt my barn, fireproof with cameras, and named Shadow's successor Valor. Ed became HOA president, scrapping Margaret's rules. Pineview became a true community, property values soaring. The concrete slab drew tourists for selfies, a blog sharing HOA horror stories crowning it a defiant symbol. 6 months later, watching Valor graze, I met my new neighbour's son, who asked to pet my horse. "This is Valor," I said. "He's steady, but he knows who crosses lines." Pointing to the slab, I added, "Some think wealth is armour. Justice hits harder with the right tools." Margaret served 16 months, barred from HOAs, now a clerk in Boise. No pull, no power. My sign stayed, joined by a new one. Concrete solutions. Results guaranteed. No takers, but the message was clear. Bullies fall when resolve meets skill. What's your wildest HOA fight? Drop it below. Hit like if this saga gripped you, and stay tuned for more tales where justice outshines tyranny.